Shalom, Israel. If you could hear me, if you can give me a 1 in the chat, Baba Kashaw. I know we ain't having no issues with the sound. All right. Okay, let me see. All right, we should be good. If you can, give me a 1 in the chat. Let me know if you can hear me. Just making sure we don't have any technical difficulties or technical issues. It's starting like 2 more minutes. The water, sis. The water. So I can give like 2 more minutes. All right. Okay. Shalom, Israel. Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shah Barakathum to the brothers. Yahweh Shema Thumb Hashem, Yahweh Shah to the sisters. Today we're doing a Wednesday night's law class, and we're going to get into the curse of following different nations. I think this is a real important topic as far as when it comes to us as Israel, because this has pretty much been the fall of us since the beginning of time. Like, well, not the beginning of time, but the beginning of our nation. The beginning of us, of our origin, we have been struggling to separate ourselves from different nations' cultures, customs, everything. Like, whatever we see that is something different and appealing to us, so like you, that is from a different culture or different nation, we tend to gravitate to those things. And this is something that the Most High doesn't want from us at all. At all. He wants us to be separate. He wants us to be holy. Holy means to be separate. He wants us to be this due to the fact that we are his people. We are his people. We're his people. We're his only people. He wants us to be different amongst other nations. So he's given us a way of living that we are supposed to abide by. We have our own custom. We have our own ways of living, our own holy days that we were given to by the Most High, that we are supposed to follow. And we struggle, especially within our history, of following just our custom, our laws, our ways of being. And it's got so bad to the point where we don't even know who we are. We don't even know our culture. We're willing to take on whatever culture that these oppressors are willing to give to us. They can tell us that, homosexuality is part of our culture, and we'll take it. They could tell us anything. They could tell us that eating pork is part of our culture, and we'll just take it. We'll just open it with welcoming arms because we don't know ourselves and we don't know our culture. This comes from us gravitating onto different nations and the Most High, spewing us out pretty much. He's like, okay, well, if you want to follow these different nations, go ahead and follow them. And every time we went to go follow a different nation, we ended up into their captivity. All the way down to the days of Adam and Eve. Eve followed the customs of this snake who told her that she could be like a god, which is what we follow to this day and age today. Like, someone could tell us that we're going to be rich and we're going to be powerful if we act like this or we do this, or if we're like the Cardi B's or the Migos or anything like that, and not knowing that the way that these people act and their characteristics are detrimental to us. Those characteristics, those push us away from the Most High. Those don't bring us towards our power. Those push us away from the Most High. And we have to understand that this is an important subject. And it's really it's detrimental that we follow our culture and we separate ourselves completely from other nations. Other nations have nothing to offer for us. They have absolutely nothing to offer for us, but we cling on to what they do because it's different from what we do. And we have to stop that. So I'm going to start with Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 3. And we're just going to get into the Most High speaking about, why we shouldn't be apart, why we shouldn't be amongst other nations, why we shouldn't gravitate to other nations. So I'll start at Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 3. The book of Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 3. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. So this is the Most High telling us that we shouldn't make marriages with different nations. And that's a very, very important thing, because when you make marriages with different nations, their customs start to become your customs. You start to develop a soft spot for a heathenistic culture, and you're not supposed to show sympathy at all towards what they got going on. You're supposed to hate everything that they have going on and only appreciate what the Most High gave you. You know what I mean? And it goes into the Lord being selfish. Like, you can't hate, or you can't feel a sense of demise or a slakia. You can't feel a sense of, oh, I don't want anything to do with that. This is not me. This is not what I'm about. I don't want anything. You can't feel that if you're dealing with someone on an intimate level. You know what I mean? You can't feel that way if you're dealing with someone intimately, because you're going to have that certain soft spot in your heart for them, or you're going to have that certain emotion towards them, or that look towards them that you're going to find something that you like about them. And the Lord wants us to have 100% love for our people, 100%. What's the word I'm looking for? We should only be destined to only support our people and be amongst our people. Okay, and these things of us giving our children or our sons or our daughters to different nations, then their children will come across doing what the other nations do. And it's like it's been happening for centuries. It's been happening since the beginning. Like, we will sit there and we will be with a different nation, and then those children will assume that like you see it today, that the child will assume, the child feels like that the other nation is, how can I say it? It's a delicacy to be another nation. It's foreign. It's exotic. Okay, the child will see it like that, so they would represent the heathen-like culture because they feel like it's more appealing to others because, oh, I'm part Italian, or I'm part, I'm part, like I have French in me, and they'll make it feel like as if these things are appealing when they're really not. They're really not. They don't keep us holy, because now we're spreading our gift unto others who don't deserve that gift. You know what I mean? So you get it from, if I can use an example, you get it from, Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods, he doesn't claim to be black. He doesn't know his culture. He claims that he's not black. Even though his father's black, he claims that he's Asian. You know what I mean? So he doesn't want to follow the side that his father has shown him all his life, even though his father trained him and his father put in the work to get him in the successful position that he's in today. He didn't want to follow that. He wanted to be a part. He wanted to follow the culture of his mom's side because it's more exotic to others. It's more appealing to others. And it makes him seem like he's more higher class because he's not black. And we have to get out of that mind state. That is a programmed mind state that was programmed on us from a young age. That thinking that only because we are who we are, that we're not special. And the Lord says it within this book that we are special to him. So we have a power with us. We have a living power who's willing to fight for us. We have a living power who's willing to separate us and to actually love us as his children. You know what I mean? But we don't appreciate that, and we follow dead cultures. We follow dead powers that are non-existent, powers that don't have any, we follow gods that don't have any power because we feel like, oh, it's more exotic. It's more appealing. It's more like we have to step out of that mind state. So the Lord says, do not give your sons to their daughters and don't give your daughters to their sons. Why? Because there's consequences to it. The Lord is not just going to tell you something without there being an example to it. You know what I mean? The example you got in it, you can see it from right now in this day all the way back into the biblical days. If I go to this time period right now, like you got, let's see, who else is, I mean, nothing's really come to mind. I mean, we'll stick with Tiger Woods for right now as just the example, but I mean, there's plenty of other different examples. You know what I mean? It's plenty of other different examples of people trying to follow. Oh, you got The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. You know what I mean? He in all of his movies, he portrays an islander. You know what I mean? He's always the islander guy. I think he even played a white guy one time. I'm not sure, but in all of his movies, he's always portraying a Hawaiian type custom, but his father's black. You know what I mean? And the only time I think he's even acknowledged a black character on a movie was that movie. I think it's called I Spy or something like that, and he was a black homosexual. You know what I mean? He was a black man, but he was a homosexual. And I think that's the only time he's played a black guy. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? Most of the time you see him, he's adapting to Hawaiian customs. You know what I mean? He's adapted to islander customs. He's not adapting to his father's people, even though we are the seed of our father. You know what I mean? He's adapting to the side of his mother. You know what I mean? That's the side that he chooses to represent. That's the side he chooses to get a tattoo, you know what I mean, tattooed all over his body. You know what I mean? Because he follows the ways of his mother. These are certain examples that the Lord is trying to put upon us to show that we are not supposed to, you know what I mean, inbreed with different nations. We're supposed to stick amongst our own nations. So I'm going to keep going, and I'm going on chapter 4. For they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. And you know what I mean? For that example exactly. With these people, like they turn away from our custom, our gods, our God, our commandments, and they follow different gods, and they follow different customs. This is why the Lord is bringing this out, because it's very, very important on our nation that we stay separate from other nations. And I'm continuing on verse 4. That they will serve other gods, so will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly. So this has always been a penalty on us every time we decided to go and follow different cultures. We were kicked out of the Garden of Eden, and then we were from there we were just being pushed into captivity after captivity after captivity after captivity, and we kept on wanting to be amongst other nations. When we were leaving Egypt, you know what I mean? As soon as we started to find ourselves struggling with hard times, we wanted to get back into Egypt. We wanted to get back into Egypt's customs. We wanted to get back into following the ways of the Egyptians, all because we were going through a little bit of hardships traveling to get to our kingdom. You know what I mean? Get to our land. We were struggling with that, so we complained that maybe it was better that we just stayed in Egypt. Maybe it was better if we just served the gods of Egypt. You know what I mean? And that angered the Lord. So much so that we weren't able to walk into the land that the Most High gave us. You know what I mean? We struggled and died on the way to that land because we complained, and we wanted so much to follow the ways of our oppressors, and we still do this to this day. We wanted to follow those ways that the Lord cut us off. And it happened so much, like, you know what I mean? Just staying on topic though, like, just off of inbreeding alone with different nations. Like these things, like if it doesn't happen within our generation or the next generation, it's going to happen eventually, because we slowly but surely are going to, as long as we're around different nations, we're going to gravitate to their customs. This is why the Lord wants to separate. This is why he had to separate us and have everyone speaking different languages. You know what I mean? Because not everybody's the same. That's why we have the Lashon Kadash, because our language is a holy language. We have a separate language. We have a language that is just specifically for us. You know what I mean? This part of our custom, a part of our culture. And the reason why our oppressors had to strip this culture away from us is because once we start to follow our culture and we learn our culture and we follow it, the Most High will be with us. You know what I mean? The Most High will be with us. And if we have that power that is with us, then we can't do no wrong. We once we see that, especially in this time period right now, once we see that we've always had this power that was just, you know what I mean, waiting for us to just do the right thing, to just follow his ways, follow his ways of life that he gave us. He's been waiting for us to do this whole time. And once we get to it, then we run the show. We have all these other nations under our feet. But I'm gonna keep going just for time's sake. I'm on verse 5 of Deuteronomy 7, verse 5. But thus shall ye deal with them. Ye shall destroy their altars, and break down their images, and cut down their groves, and burn their graven images with fire. So when it comes to us dealing with different nations, this is how we should see their customs. Like their gods should be like, if we're following their gods and we're snapping out of it and we're following the Most High, we need to burn all those heathen cultures. We need to burn all those things, because these things are a disrespect unto the Most High. The Most High has given us an opportunity to be the rulers of all these nations on this earth. And we choose to live in poverty, to live in the ghettos, and we choose to follow all these heathen cultures. Well, we choose to live in these down low, dirty type of lifestyle ways, because we are following different nations. Point blank, period. And that pretty much just sums it up. Like, without us following the ways of all these heathens, we wouldn't even be in this position. You know what I mean? We'd be following the Most High. We would be following his laws and commandments. We would be serving him, and we would be on top of the world, on top. You know what I mean? Everyone would have to report to us, but we're choosing to be on the bottom just because of our love for different nations. Now, this is the thing that we really have an issue with, and it's very heartbreaking to see what we become at this time period. Like the Lord said that, you know what I mean, we became like harlots. You know what I mean? We became as like whores for different nations, like different customs. We sit over here, and you can see it today. Like we sit over here and we fight for everyone's oppression, so-called. We fight for everybody's oppression but ours. We go so hard for everyone's oppression but ours. If we get killed on the streets, if we get slammed, if we get beaten, if we get, you know what I mean, kidnapped, we don't say anything. We don't do anything for our people. We take it as if it's just something that's supposed to be natural, something that's supposed to happen. We don't go above and beyond for our people. We wait until it happens to somebody else, because they're more foreign than we are. You know what I mean? They're more, how can I say? They're more exotic than us. So if an Asian man or woman is to get murdered by someone, they'll call it Asian hate, and they'll sign bills, and they'll protect the Asians. They'll protect their culture. They'll protect their customs. They'll make sure that these people are protected. But if anything was to happen with us, it's just another day in America. We look at it as just another walk in the park. This is why the Lord said we become like harlots. Everything. It doesn't matter what it is. We're marching and we're fighting for other people's so-called oppression. Anything that happens to, and it's so easy for them to pull that card because they already know that they have the so-called African American community to back them up. They have the so-called Latin community to back them up. The so-called Native American community to back them up. They know that because all they have to do is just say that they're oppressed. That's it. And then we'll come running to help them. Not when it comes to us, though. Not when it comes to our people. We won't do it. But when it comes to them, you know what I mean? We're willing to go out of our way to help them. This is an issue. And it's sad now. It's just sad now. To the point where these other nations are looking at us like, man, like you guys don't even want to help yourselves? Like, at least try. You know what I mean? You got this situation with this little boy, and this situation hurts me to this day. Like, I can't even, like, it's hard for me to watch this little boy talk. You know what I mean? Because he's adorable. He's a strong young Judite. You know what I mean? And he sat there and got shot by an Asian man who was cowardly and shot from his house, inside of his house, through his window, shot the little boy for getting his bicycle out of his yard. You know what I mean? That is the most frustrating thing ever because he didn't shoot. First of all, what are you shooting a child for? You know what I mean? There's no threat of it. I'm pretty sure if he's seen a dog in his yard, he wouldn't have tried to shoot that dog. He wouldn't have tried to shoot that dog. He'd probably try to capture him. You know what I mean? He'd probably try to capture him for his next meal, but he wouldn't try to shoot him. You know what I mean? He saw this little tiny 6-year-old boy in his yard grabbing his bicycle, and he decides to shoot at him. Like, and then what frustrates me more is just the reaction of our people. Like, we have to wait until it's a norm or it's a popular subject for us to want to speak out and do something about it. Because when I first seen the story hit, like, nobody was really kind of reacting to it until it, you know what I mean, until different nations start speaking about it a lot more, and then we started to react off of it. Now, what if this little boy had got, you know what I mean, God forbid, he would have got shot in a place where it would have, you know what I mean, murdered him. Then what were we going to do? What were we going to do? We were going to sit up and probably just, you know what I mean, march, you know what I mean, have a couple of pictures up, put up a video or something like that, and it would just go right. And then if they'll find a way to, you know what I mean, distract us with another situation, and it'll be back to business as usual. Let's just keep on killing them, and let's keep on killing them. This is what we go through because we can't be separate and we can't be amongst our own nation. We can't be for our own people. You know what I mean? You don't even want to know what I want to do off of that situation of that little boy. I don't even know this little boy. But because that little boy is my brother, you know what I mean? And the ISUPK has woken me up to who my people are and who I'm supposed to fight for. Seeing this little boy, our kids, our children, this little boy got harmed. This little boy was harmed in a cowardly way by the same people that we were marching for. Those same people we were marching for, this little boy was harmed. You know what I mean? He was shot and by the grace of God, you know what I mean? I shouldn't even say it like that. If not for the Most High, that little boy would probably be dead right now because that Asian man wanted to kill him. You know That Asian man wanted to kill him. He wanted to take him out. He wanted to kill a little black boy that was in his yard because he hates us. You know what I mean? He has nothing but hostility towards our nation. He knows that we are not his people. He knows that we are a separate people. And he knows that he hates us. So what did he do? He's seen a child, and it takes a deep, deep hate to want to harm a child. So you got to understand what these people are feeling about us. You know what I mean? The same people we sat there and marched for, we sat there and protested for, to the point where they had a bill pushed out for Asian hate. You know what I mean? These is who we helped. But in our situation where that same particular type of nation of people harmed us, harmed our babies, harmed our child, we reacted we didn't give it enough. We didn't give that little boy enough justice. We didn't give him enough justice. Because if that child was exotic, he would have got a lot more attention, and he would have got justice right off the rip. They gave that man $10,000 bail. That is nothing. I'm pretty sure he didn't even stay in the holding cell. Pretty sure they just let him go off of how small that bail amount was. Pretty sure they just told him to leave. We don't even want your money. Just get out. Just go to your court date. After trying to attempt to shoot and kill a little black boy. That's how they feel about us. You know what I mean? He could have shot a raccoon on the street and got more time than that. Got a bigger bail than that. You know what I mean? But this is the stuff that we have to deal with. This is what's going on when we feel like that these other nations love us, and we need to love these other nations, and we need to allow them into our culture, and we need to have a culture with them and bring their culture with us. And it's nonsense, because they want to be separate. These other nations want to be separate. They don't want us. They don't want our ways of living and their ways of living. You either abide to what they already know and what they already do, or you just can't be a part of their culture. They're not going to sit there and settle and say, hey, bring your stuff with our stuff and we'll blend it all together. No, you're going to have to abide with what they want and what they want to do. That's what you're going to have to do. You know what I mean? But this man, he harmed a child. And you know what I mean? We got him back in, you know what I mean, having a higher bail, which was just set to 100,000 instead of 10,000. He should be in there for attempted murder, and that bail should be so high to the point where it should be at $1 million, especially for trying to kill a child. It should be at $1 million, not 100,000. You know what I mean? Because I'm pretty sure he's out by now, even with $100,000 bail. You know what I mean? 10% of that, what, 10,000? I'm pretty sure he has that stacked up to the side somewhere from his family and them stacking up for him. You know what I mean? From their restaurant. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's nothing. They're not trying to give us justice. They just want us to shut up. Just shut up. Okay, we hear you. Okay, shut up. Just shut up. Because at the end of the day, it's not going to matter. That's how they feel about us. And we cape for them. We cape for them all the time. We all the time we go out of our way and we cape for people who do us in that type of manner. It's just like what? When are we going to wake up out of this? Like if this situation has not, like, the Most High is literally showing you back to back to back how ignorant we're thinking. Our ignorant ways of thinking. We sit up and we put our trust into the churches and the Catholic churches, and like we put our trust into those places, and whether those places been since the pandemic started. How have these places healed you or blessed you since the pandemic started? How has it happened? Tell me. Like, you know what I mean? Where have they been? They're barely coming out the woodworks now. I'm barely starting to see a couple of people post a few things trying to bring, you know what I mean, Cesar Borgia back to life, because now it's time. Now we can open back up the churches now. You know what I mean? I'm seeing a whole bunch of, you know what I mean, subtle scriptures. Oh yeah, well, You know what I mean? You got to have faith. And how's y'all faith been since this pandemic started? I told y'all we'd be back. You know what I mean? I'm starting to see a lot of that now, all because now you can bring your butts into their churches, and now you can go ahead and spend that money. You know what I'm saying? And they about to go hard up on those songs in that church because they need to catch up from that year that they missed out on. You know what I'm saying? Like, we sat over here and we put our trust into these places. We put our trust into the churches. We put our trust into, you know what I mean, other nations and the government that's ruling over us. And every time, like, even with the government, like, I've seen so many people caping for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris as if they were both two black people trying to make it into office. You know what I mean? Little did they know. I've seen so many women's posts, oh, yeah, we finally got a black woman in office. That's my VP. Little did they know. And as soon as she sat there and said, oh, well, we're not going to help the black people specifically. We're going to help everybody, America specifically. Well, where did these specifics come when it came to the Asian hate bill? You know what I mean? Well, I thought we weren't doing specifics. Oh, not just for us, though. Not just for us. You know what I mean? When it comes to other nations, then we'll keep it to specifics. But when it comes to the black people in America, to the Latin people in America, to the Native Americans in America, then we can't deal with specifics. We need to deal with them as a nation of America. You know what I mean? Like, when are we going to wake up from it? Like, the Most High is trying to show you why you shouldn't even attach yourselves to different nations. These nations are showing you boldly in front of your face, we don't want nothing to do with you. We want absolutely nothing to do with you. And yet we still keep on trying to find love in different nations, in different places that they don't want to love us. And we feel like we got to earn it. We got to earn that love. For what? Just so they can sit over there and make you act of something that you're not? You know what I mean? Like, they're trying to show you that you are not a part of them. So let's just not be a part of them. Let's be a part of ourselves. But you don't want to do that. Why? It's because you're going to have to start. You're going to have, if we start acknowledging ourselves, you're going to have to play that part out as if, okay, I'm a representation of my people. And you don't want to do that. You want to dress up like a whore and go out to clubs and drink. You want to dress up like a homosexual and you want to look for women all day that are willing to have sex with you right then and there on the spot. This is the things we want to do. This is why we don't want to represent ourselves, because we are too busy trying to follow our own lust. You know what I mean? We're too busy trying to follow our own lust. Like, we have to hop out of that mindset. Like, it's becoming to the point where we just look desperate now. Like, we're just trying, hey, please, like, take me in. Please, take me in. Please, can you take me in? Please, please. It's like, it's just desperate now. But let us come on these corners and tell you that this book is literally written only for you. This book is literally written only for you. This is your culture. This is your custom, but you can't smoke weed. You can't be a whore. You know what I mean? You can't eat pork. You can't eat shrimp. You can't eat lobster. You can't smoke cigarettes. You know what I mean? You can't be a drunkard. We tell you these things, and then all of a sudden you fall out. You love the fact that you could be a sense of royalty, but you hate the fact that you have to live under the law. That's what you hate. You know what I mean? And that's why our people have always been struggling with following just our culture and our commandments. This is why our people have always had this struggle, because we have issues with following the law. We have issues with, we don't have issues following a heathen law, because I see a lot of people willing to follow the law of our oppressors just fine. Make sure you got that seatbelt on. Same person got a damn, huge pork chop in their mouth and sit there and tell me about a seatbelt in a car that I'm driving that belongs to me. But you got a huge pork chop in your mouth. Now you follow these heathen laws just fine, but when it comes to following our laws, oh, we can't do that. This is something that we have an issue with. You know what I mean? So this is why we need to be separate. We need to be separate from all these other nations, and we need to get into our culture and our culture alone. I'm gonna keep reading just for time's sake. Okay, so we are on. I'm gonna start at verse 6, and it says, "For thou art an holy people." So like that's where I left off. Verse 6 of Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 6. "For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth." So the Lord has chosen us to be special. You know what I mean? Special. When people see us and see how we follow the law, statutes, and commandments, how we live holy, how we live separately, and how we just are amongst ourselves and only for our people, they will look at us and say, man, these people, this is a very intelligent people. This is a very, very clean people. This is where our separation comes from. It's following the laws. You know what I mean? Following the laws in the Bible is where our separation comes from. Because the Lord chose us to be a holy people, a special people unto himself. You know what I mean? Who else could sit there like that? Like that alone makes us better than everybody else. But for some reason, we're sitting over here caping for all these other nations. But that alone, that verse alone makes us better than everybody else. We actually have a God, a power that's willing, that is above all other powers on this earth, in this universe, period. That is we have the biggest head honcho that chose us to be his people. And we would rather sit in those churches and just have a nice time singing and dancing, having a nice time, you know what I mean, munching on some pork chops, munching on some ham hocks, you know what I mean, some chicharrones or whatever you call them. You know what I mean? We would rather fulfill our lust of our flesh with those things other than being a separate people, being a people of a power that is above everything on this earth, a power that can split an ocean. You know what I mean? A power that can create a planet. Like we would rather just do the customs of heathen nations than serve a power that is, you know what I mean, that strong, that powerful. This is the things that we would rather do. We would rather celebrate holidays, Christmas, Easter, Halloween, all these different things. We rather do these things because it's pleasing to us and our young. We feel like, okay, these things create some type of happiness. It creates a happy feeling. Like it's just the insanity in it all. And the look that will be on people's faces who think so little of us, different nations who think so little of us, who think that we are the scum of the earth. It's nations that would see their daughters with a black or Spanish or Native American, and they would be disgusted to the point where they would do away with that child. And we don't give that same energy back. We think it's cute if we see our child going to prom with someone from some child from the nation of Edom. Oh, you got you one of those, huh? Okay, do your thing, get you that good credit. Stupid, man. Stupid. You know what I mean? Not knowing that your child is being used as a plaything now. You know what I'm saying? Not knowing how your child is looked at in the eyes of that person. You know what I mean? How your child has to submit to that person. Just so they can feel that sense of authority over your child. You know what I mean? And they don't know no better. They think it's, you know what I mean, exotic. They don't know no better. You know what I mean? So this has just been an issue from day one with us. We always follow the ways of different nations. Always. Always. We do it all the time. And it's not even worth it, honestly. It's not even worth it. You know what I mean? And we'll see that once we get our kingdom. We'll see that once our king returns and we get our kingdom, we'll see that, damn, we did all that for this person right here. Look at him. Look at him. We did all that for them. You know what I mean? We're the only people who everything that we try to do, everything we try to be successful in, it always gets tampered with. If it's not ignorant enough, then, you know what I mean, they'll do away with it. If it's not ignorant enough, it has to be ignorant. You can't be an intelligent rapper. You got to mix some of that ignorant stuff in there. You know what I mean? You gotta dabble with it. You can't just be all intelligence. Don't try to be too intelligent teaching your people stuff. Don't do that. Keep it ignorant. Keep it ignorant. What's that? Young man Alex, we've been brainwashed to hate our people and ourselves. That's right. It's brainwashing, and we got to take a lot of the responsibility of it too, because we're fascinated into these things. We're fascinated. You know what I mean? We get fascinated into these other heathen cultures, and we want to just dabble into it. You know what I mean? I think Russell Simmons had him a big old statue in his basement of a Hindu god. And how did that god work for him after the United States wanted to charge him for, you know what I mean, what was it, child molestation? Rape? Where was that Hindu god at? You know what I mean? Why didn't that god come up and save him? Where was it at? You know what I mean? Our power is a working power, and it works for us. You know what I mean? If we use it, if we follow it and we use it, our power works for us. But where is their power at? Where is their gods at? You know what I mean? This Arabian god that our people are so attracted to. You know what I mean? Muhammad and all that. Like, where are they at in our time of need? Where are they at? You know what I mean? We spend so much time following different customs that we don't even see that there's no power within them that can help us out of this captivity. There's nothing that we can follow that they have to offer could get us out of this captivity. It was an experiment that just did not work. You know what I mean? We sat there, like, literally in this country, we have followed pretty much every single culture but our own. But our own. Everyone. And where are we at? Still on the bottom. So we should already know that it just does not work for us. Their gods don't work for us. You know what I mean? But I'll continue. I'm going to start back at 7. Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 7. The Lord did not set his love upon Slakia. I'm going to read verse 6 again. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people, unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. Verse 7, the Lord did not set his love upon you, nor choose you, because ye were more in number than any people, for ye were the fewest of all people. And that's true to this day. Like, our numbers are low, but we are the most talented. We are the most vibrant. We're the most, how can I say? We attract people upon us because of how we are. You know what I mean? It's just built into us to be more special than anyone else. Even when we're at our lowest. You know what I mean? You can't see when you see other nations having to struggle with some type of poverty or some type of legal issue or some type of educational issue. Most of them are killing themselves. They're offing themselves off because they can't deal with that type of pressure. We live in that pressure. You know what I mean? We mold ourselves in that pressure. You know what I mean? You can see our separation already as it is, because we're all the way at the bottom, but we still have our certain few who've worked their way up to the top. You know what I mean? Who worked their way up into the Hollywoods and the suburbs and you know what I mean? All these different elegant places. Like, some people just did that off of just pure work and just being smart and being ahead of the game. There's people that work their ways up for that. So you can already see our individuality already within itself, because even within pressure, we still find a way to come up and shine. You know what I mean? We still find a way to come up and even in the gutter, we still show our potential. We still show what type of people we are. You know what I mean? But the only problem is that we gravitate to different nations. That's it. That's the problem. And we don't follow the law. So verse 7, the Lord did not set his love upon you, nor choose you, because ye were more in number than any people, for ye were the fewest of all people. Verse 8, but because the Lord loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he had sworn unto your fathers, had the Lord brought you out with a mighty hand, and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen, from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. So this is the reason why the Lord chose us and why he rescued us from that captivity. You know what I mean? So we're on verse 9. Know therefore that the Lord thy God, he is God, the faithful God, which keepeth covenant and mercy with them that love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations. So, you know what I mean? That's always the solution to, you know what I mean, our problems, is to keep the commandments and to call upon the voice and to call upon the Lord. You know what I mean? To cry to the Lord. That's always been a solution for us to get out of our captivities. The problem with us right now is that we're so low that we think that we're supposed to be in this position right now. We think that we have a fair shot. That's what I really have an issue with. We think there's a lot of us that think that we have a fair shot of being successful in America. This guy got so-called successful off of Bitcoin. I wouldn't even say successful because he made $100,000. He made $100,000 off of Bitcoin, but he's in jail. He's in jail, tampering with the Bitcoin. He makes some money off of Bitcoin, but he's in jail, and he has a perspective that, when black people, and not to mention he's Israel, but he feels when our people show any type of hatred towards the Edomites, then we're showing racism. And this guy is in jail for who knows what, but because he felt like he got some success from Bitcoin, he feels as if everyone has a fair shot at being successful in America. This is what he feels in jail because he got a little tiny gift. He feels as if he's capable, as if everyone's capable of doing what he did. He feels like he's just so successful to the point where everyone could do this. I did it off of Bitcoin. Everybody can do this. And not knowing that if everyone was to sit up and make a large sum of money, as far as our nation, as far as Israel, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, if we were to be sitting up and getting rich off of Bitcoin, Bitcoin would be nothing. The value of Bitcoin would be nothing. If we were to get rich as far as dollars and cents, the value of a dollar would be nothing. It would be nothing. Why? Because this system is built to keep us on the bottom. That's why you have all these different avenues of being successful. Because once we start to gain a little bit too much, oh, this has no value. Let's move on to the next thing. Start working your way up over here. Yeah, that one doesn't work either. Let's go over here. You just go. It's a consistent cycle. Because he was one of the few who was to make 100,000 off of Bitcoin. He felt as if everyone could get rich this way. Not knowing that as soon as our nation starts working together as a whole, as soon as we start to work together as a whole, and we start to be productive and successful as a whole, then our oppressors are going to do whatever they can to strip that away from us. Whether if they need to indoctrinate us or if they need to oppress us some more, they're going to do whatever they can to keep us in a position where we feel as if we're the lowest lowest nation, the lowest people in this captivity. You know what I mean? All those things means nothing. Money means nothing. Money doesn't give you the power. Money is not giving the Edomites power. Their army does. You know what I mean? They got bullets to represent where they come from, where they come from. That's what they got. They got big bullets, big tanks, big missiles. They got all that stuff. It's not the money that makes them successful. It's not. It's not the money. Now, let's say, hypothetically, let's say if big old shit start coming from the sky and destroying all those tanks and destroying all those missiles and destroying everything that's walking on the face of this nation, then who you gonna gravitate to? You gonna continue to keep gravitating to those people who got the money? No, because money don't mean nothing at that time period, right? Money doesn't mean anything at all at that time period. You're not going to gravitate to those people anymore. You're not going to want to know who their gods are. You're not going to want to know who their gods are. You're not going to want to try to understand how their gods work. You're not going to want to be a Sagittarius or a Leo, or you're not going to want to be those things no more. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to want to be those things no more. Why? Because you see that the power does not lay in their hands. The reason why you gravitate to them is because you feel like they have a power. It's not the money. You know what I mean? It's not the money. Because if the money had no value, you wouldn't want it. You wouldn't degrade yourselves for it. It's the power you think they have, which is why you'll sit up and you'll march with a whole bunch of people from Gaza because you feel like they're being oppressed. When I seen that protest, I seen hundreds of thousands of people on the streets of America marching for their country, marching for their people. And I seen a whole bunch of outcasts, people like us, marching with them. Now, where were they at when Breonna Taylor got killed? Where were they at when this little boy just got shot? This little 6-year-old boy just got shot. Where are the protests? Where are these hundreds of thousands of people walking the streets? Where are they at? You got to tell me, because I don't see it. I don't see it. Where are they? I don't see it. Prove me wrong. When it's our people getting killed, when it's our people being oppressed, when it's our people getting raped and murdered and caged, enslaved, we don't feel like there's power because there's just us representing ourselves. These nations that we love so much and we fought so hard for, they show exactly that you're on your own when it comes to you. But you can stand for us, and we'll give you a little treat. We'll give you a little kibbles and bits and little dog treats and stuff like that. We'll give you that. Not enough for you to ever to be successful enough to build your people up, but we'll give you a little something. We'll give you a little something. And then what? And then what? That little treat is worth the oppression of your people. You're comfortable consistently seeing your people getting killed on the streets. You know what I mean? Consistently seeing your people being oppressed, like seeing your people being treated like scum. Like you have to find a comfort in that, and you got to swallow that, and you just got to look the other way. You willing to do that? Like for that dollar that holds no value? We gotta be willing to die for our people. We have to be willing to shut everyone else, every other nation out, and just focus on ours. Because once we do that, our power grows within that. We have power in separation. Call it racism all you want to. Those are the key words that people go to. It's racism, cult, religion, all these bywords that don't even go with the definition. I cannot be a racist. Neither can anyone in my nation be a racist at this moment. We don't have the power to make you move out of your neighborhood. We don't have the power to, you know what I mean, not accept your sell and buy services. We don't have that power. We take whatever we can get while we got it. You know what I mean? We don't have the power to shut anything down in this country. We don't have that yet. You know what I mean? So I cannot be racist. It's a byword. I'm from a cult. Okay, I'll be from a cult then. If that's the byword that you want to call it, because I'm so down with my people. I'm willing to die for my people. I'm willing to push my life to the side for my people, that I'm part of a cult. Okay, I'll give you that. If that's the only way that you can explain it, I'll let you have that one. I'm from a cult. Thank you. And I'm a cult leader also. I'll be that. Thank you. I'm part of my culture, my people. Yes, I'm from a cult. We can have that. These are all bywords. And they use them to try to make you feel wrong for just being part of your culture, being for your culture, being for your people. But didn't nobody say that Asians were racist for making Chinatown? You know what I mean? Nobody said that. Why is that? Because they have a right to be just for their people, right? They have a right. We don't. We don't, though. We have to be a part of every other nation. And once we stop fighting for all other nations, then that makes our oppression worth nothing, because we're not willing to fight for other people's oppression. That doesn't even make any sense. Because we're being oppressed, and we're fighting for the people who are oppressing us. I sit there and I can say, you know what I mean, my son can't be with the white woman. I'm a racist. Well, how? How? Oh, so you know what I mean? Them having whites only restaurants, you know what I mean, water fountains, bus stops, buses, you know what I mean? Them having whites only schools and that wasn't racist. Oh, it's not the same these days, huh? We should stop going back to those days. All right. Okay. I'm just like, it's the same conversations over and over again. And it's just like our people need to understand we have to get out of this mindset that everyone else's oppression is our oppression, because oppression is us. You can't be black unless you're oppressed. Like, it's just like, it's ignorant ways of thinking. You can't be a black person unless you're oppressed. You can't be part of our culture unless you grew up in the hood and you shot some guns and sold some crack. And that's how people validate themselves when they're part of us. They validate themselves by saying, "Oh, I was in the hey, I just seen Soldier Boy doing it earlier today. Oh, you ain't from where I'm from. You ain't had to shoot people. You ain't had to rob." And it's like, okay, so what you're doing is you're defining us as those type of actions. So we can't even be black without robbing somebody. We can't be black without, you know what I mean, selling drugs or living in a project. We can't be black without those things. Like, come on now. It's ignorant. It's an ignorant mindset. It's a very, very ignorant mindset. And we have been programmed, just like young man Alex was just talking about. We've been programmed to think this way. We've been programmed to think that being a whore is the only way you're going to be successful as a young lady. You'll never be successful like being an astronaut or being, you know what I mean, a world-class entrepreneur or anything like that, a business owner or anything like that. You can't be successful learning these things. You have to be successful by dressing up in the most skimpiest thing you can find. If you have to wear a piece of floss, then just wear a piece of floss and go out. You know what I mean? Have these dudes look at you. Try to find the most, you know what I mean, successful one you can find. Knock him, take him home, get knocked up, have his baby, and then boom, you're a millionaire now. You know what I mean? Oh, grow up in the hood, sell some crack, shoot a gun, shoot some people. They can't be white though. They can't be Asian. They got to be your people. Go shoot them people, make some rhymes about it, wrap it over a nice fine beat, and then boom, you're a millionaire. All this stuff that we program to think that this is where our success comes from. This is the way that we think. You know what I mean? This is what we've been programmed to believe. And this is because we don't have a culture of our own. We don't have a culture to sit there and tell us to dress modest. You know what I mean? To have high morals, high standards. We don't have a culture to do that. We don't have our own language that we can sit over here and talk mess about people in our own language. We can't do that. Other people do that all the time, though. But we can't do that because we don't have our own culture. Our culture comes from our oppressors. Whatever they tell us is what we adapt to because they are so-called successful. They got the money, right? So whatever they tell us is okay and not okay, that's what we adapt to. Because we don't have the money, we can't sit over. And I wish somebody would tell me that lives in the projects, oh, you need to stop. You don't need to stop selling drugs. You need to stop smoking. Why are you telling me that? You're here with me. Why would you? Why you're not successful? Why would you tell me that? This is how we think. But let our oppressors tell us. You know what I mean? Go. You're a woman. Go kiss that other woman over there. We like that. You know what I mean? We like that. We like that type of activity. We like that lesbian activity. Go do that. What we gonna do? We're gonna go do it. And we're gonna make it part of our culture. You can't watch TV no more without our people just going insane on these videos, on these movies. You know what I mean? If it's not horrorism, it's homosexuality. You know what I mean? It's all like, I don't see anything different anymore. You don't see this masculine man who's willing to fight for his kids and fight for his family. You don't see that type of stuff no more. It's all flamboyancy and it's all just fornication and horrorism. That's all it is. And they've made this a part of our customs, a part of our culture, which is why the Most High is very specific off of us being separated. We need to separate because no one can tell us what we should feel like is right and what's wrong, what's our culture and what's not our culture. We need to separate. We need to separate. We need to learn that this culture, this right here is our culture. That's right here. That's your grandma, that's your great-great-grandma, that's your great-great-granddaddy, that's your great-uncle, your great-auntie, all them at the family reunion. This is us. This is our culture. Lashawan Kadash, that's our language. You know what I mean? I can't wait till we can speak fluent enough where we can start making some slang out of Lashawan Kadash. You know what I mean? That's what I'm looking forward to. Because we good for slang. We're good at speaking in parables. We're good at, you know what I mean, speaking, putting some sauce to what we do. We're good at that. You know what I'm saying? So once we start to see our custom and see that this Bible is our custom, and we start to follow the ways of living like that, once we start to do that, then we start putting in the sauce with it. You know what I mean? Then we start to put it in the sauce with it. But we have to learn ourselves first. We have to stop following all of these different nations, and we need to learn ourselves first. We need to stop celebrating these heathen holidays. We need to get out of that spirit of feeling like, oh, Thanksgiving is coming. My birthday's next week. Ooh, I'm a Sagittarius. I click well with the Geminis. I'm a what are those other things? I'm a Libra, and I click well with a Scorpio. Like, we got to get out of these different things that just make us just look like ridiculous. We need to step up out of that. You know what I mean? We have to step up out of it. But I'll continue. I have some more precepts, and I'm probably going to talk the whole class away. But I mean, if we go into example of King Solomon, I mean, I don't have time to read it, but King Solomon, he was a very, very wise and successful king. Very, very wise, very successful. So wise to the point where he scared people. You know what I mean? That's how wise he was. He was so wise that he scared people. People were afraid to even speak to him because they knew that he had the Spirit of the Lord on him. But what happened? You know what I mean? What did he do? The first thing that the Lord said, you know what I mean? He laid with different nations. And what happened when he laid with different nations? Once he got old and he started to get weak, boom, like, you know what I mean? He got all these heathens surrounding him, still showing they still young and, you know what I mean, and firm, and, you know what I mean, like, just giving him the time of his life. He had almost 1,000 just, you know what I mean, around him, just, you know what I mean, beautiful women, beautiful heathens, should I say. Just warming them up to his point where he had a soft spot for all of them. So what did he do? He started to build temples. You know what I mean? He started to build temples and build shrines of their gods. And then he didn't just build them. He started to serve them. You know what I mean? And what happened? We lost our kingdom. We had to split it down the middle because it was so It was so corrupt from the sight of the Lord. It was so corrupt. Like you dishonored me so much that you put these heathen gods in my kingdom that I gave to you, to your fathers. You know what I mean? You disrespect me that much that you put this, you know what I mean, golden calf and all these different idols. You put all these things in here because the soft touch of a woman. This is why you disrespected me like that. You know what I mean? And we should have lost the kingdom. I mean, but luckily, you know what I mean, King David was such a great servant to the Lord. Like, you know what I mean, he just split it, but we consistently kept dishonoring the Lord. And we'll have our certain few that would come out and serve the Lord, certain kings that would come out and serve the Lord, but majority of them were disrespecting and serving Baal and serving all those other heathen gods. You know what I mean? And we grew accustomed to heathen gods. Like it wasn't just King Solomon serving these gods. It was everyone in that kingdom. Everybody was serving these gods. You know what I mean? You have your certain few who remember to serve the Lord, but once King Solomon brought that into our kingdom, we went back into serving different gods, and it came accustomed, and to the point where we lost our kingdom. So we have to remember these things. This is where we're at right now. This is exactly where we're at right now. We're serving Baal. We're serving all these different heathen gods. And where are we at? We're on the bottom. We're under the foot of all the other nations. You know what I mean? We're under the foot of all these other nations. Like, it's time for us to realize that there is power and there's culture in this book. I know that the Christian church have done so much damage, and the Catholic Church have done so much damage to this book, to the point where you don't even want to deal with the Bible anymore. That's a very understandable thing. But when you see viruses killing millions of people, when you see people rushing and running into stores, emptying out the stores, and you can't even find a top ramen noodle to feed your kids with, when you start to see all these things coming to fruition and times getting into a hard space, you want to try to find your God that you need to adapt to. And I'm telling you, if you're Black, Hispanic, and Native American, this is where your God's at. And you need to pull up to these classes in ISUBK, and you need to learn, because we follow the customs in this Bible. And let me tell you, it's way better than what we used to do back in the world. Trust me. You know what I mean? It's a lot better. And we're willing to die about it too, because it's a natural feeling once we get to it. Like, this is I naturally feel like this is my custom. It didn't take me that long to learn La Shalom Kadash. It was just in me. You know what I mean? It was just in me. This is our custom. And we need to take this back. We really need to take it back, because following these are like, go try to learn certain languages. Go try to learn some Mandarin or something like that. It's going to take you years. That is not your custom. That is not your culture. You know what I mean? You learn the La Shalom Kadash, you probably learn it in a week, 3 days if you work hard enough, because it's in you. It's in you. It's already in your DNA. This is our culture. You know what I mean? But let me see what I got right here. Okay, I'm gonna go to Matthew's 10 and 5. So we're gonna read Matthew's 10 and 5. That'll probably be the last precept we read. Salakia. Salakia. You know what I mean? I had a couple of precepts I just wanted to read off. I wasn't able to get to them. I'm just trying to, like, you know what I mean, get to the topic as much as possible. You know what I mean? Hopefully I can get a reader next time, and then we can just probably just flow through it. But as far as right now, I just want you to understand how detrimental it is that we separate ourselves from other nations. You know what I mean? Because if our people start to sleep with Edomites, we start to feel like, I don't want to be a black woman because they're too loud or they're too aggressive or this and that. This exotic woman right here, she's way better. You know what I mean? This is way better because she's submissive. And her culture is that they learn to shut up. Like, no, that's just making up excuses. You're making up excuses. It's no different than trying to find any other reason to lay with another nation. You know what I mean? You've told yourself in your mind that this is something that you want to do for your own personal lust. This is what you told yourself. It's no difference. It's no difference. So let's go to Matthew 10 and 5. And we're gonna read out the New Testament because you know what I mean, you get caught up reading the Old Testament, and Christians want to come at you, oh yeah, well, that don't exist no more, whoop-de whoop whoop. And, okay. So we're at Matthew 10 and 5. Salaki. All right, the book of Matthew, chapter 10 and verse 5. These 12 Yahushua sent forth and commanded them, saying, go not into the way of the Gentiles and into any city of the Samaritans. Enter ye not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. This is Christ himself. You know what I mean? Telling the prophets to go and speak amongst our people. You know what I mean? Even Christ had this mentality of being separate. You know what I mean? You learn in church that, you know what I mean, everyone's accepted to this book. Everyone's accepted. And that doctrine will not read these type of scriptures. I've never heard them in the churches. They won't tell you that Christ had a specific people that he was healing, specific people that he came for. And if you want to argue that down, you can read the story about the Syrophoenician woman. She went to Christ to try to get help from her daughter, and Christ was ignoring her. Christ didn't even want to hear what she wanted to say because she wasn't his people. And then once she finally got his attention from begging so much, he told her that it's not right to take the children's food. You know what I mean? And he's talking about us. It's not right to take our blessings away for other nations. So even Christ wanted separation. So don't sit over here and try to make it seem like Christ died for everybody. Even Christ wanted separation. She begged for a blessing, for a child to be blessed, or a child to be healed from these spirits. And he told him, I'm here for my people. I'm here blessing my people. But because she humbled herself and compared herself to a dog, because she knows how the Most High sees other nations. She knows how Christ sees other nations. So because she humbled herself and put herself in a heathen's place and compared herself to a dog and said, don't dogs eat from the crumbs of the table? Then Christ said, all right, for sure. Because you humbled yourself, go ahead, your daughter's healed. It's not because she sat there and she believed that he existed. She got on her knees and she prayed and believed that he existed. No, she humbled herself and compared herself to a dog. Why did she have to do that? Because she was a heathen. She wasn't part of the nation of Israel. Christ was healing his people. Christ died for his people. You don't believe me? Go to Matthew 1 and 21. Matthew 1 and 21. The book of Matthew, chapter 1 and 21. And she shall bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Yahushua, for he shall save his people from their sins. Not all. Not all. Not the world. His people. You know what I mean? Christ wanted us to be separate. He healed only his people. He was separate. You know what I mean? And you had to humble yourself if you was a part of a different nation to even see his glory. You would have to humble yourself and know exactly your position as far as where it comes to us, as how the Most High sees us. Don't believe me on that either, huh? I don't even have the apocrypha on me, but read 2nd Ezra 6 and 65. The Most High sees every other nation like spittle. Okay? We are a special people to the Most High God. The Most High God. We are a special people. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we are a special people to the Most High God. We need to pull our spirits, our minds out of these different nations, out of these different nation customs. We need to get rid of all those birthdays and holidays and these Christmases and these Easters and all these different things that are not a part of our custom. We need to get rid of all these things, and we need to just jump into our culture. And if you want to know how to live it, you come into these classes. You know what I mean? You come into these classes because we'll show you how to live it, because we live the Bible in here. We live it. Day in and day out, we live the Bible. Everybody's got a story that can relate to something that's happened in this book. You know what I mean? Come in and get your story. Come in and get your story. Start living your custom, following the commandments that the Most High gave you separately. You know what I mean? He didn't give everybody the laws. He gave his people the laws. Come in, figure out what these laws are, figure out how to live it in your day-to-day, see how we live. You know what I mean? See how we live on our day-to-day, and see how we can easily attach the commandments into our lifestyle, because for people that are in the world, they think that following the laws is impossible. And they only think there's 10 of them. They think there's only 10 of them, and they think that following the laws is impossible. It's impossible from 10 of them. Not knowing how many laws there actually is. Not knowing that how easy it is once you develop the mindset that you are just about your people, that you are just about the growth and the construction of your people. How easy it is to follow these laws, because you'll start to despise everything else that's around you. Then you'll start to despise these Hindu customs, these Sagittariuses and these Leos and all these other different things. You'll start to despise those things. You'll start to despise the way that our lost women are acting out here in these social media platforms and walking these streets. What they're willing to do for a vacation and a Prada bag or a Chanel bag. What they're willing to give up. What they're willing to sell from themselves. You'll start to despise all these things. And once you start to despise them, other nations will see how intelligent you are. They'll start to see how intellectual you are, how proper you are, how clean you are. And our custom would be the new norm. Living properly, having morals would be the new norm, because honestly, everybody wants to follow what we do. Once we get comfortable in our own skin, everybody wants to follow what we do. Everybody knows that we're above all the other people. You know what I mean? Everybody knows that. When's the last time you seen all Indian movie, East Indian movie, and wanted to follow everything that you've seen in that movie? Let me know. Or if you ever watched one in general. You know what I mean? We're the salt of this earth. You know what I mean? We bring this earth flavor. You know what I mean? People want to do what we do. But the problem is, at this moment, we're too busy listening to what our oppressors want us to be. Because they feel like they hold out this little tiny piece of success for you to keep working your way to try to get it. So you'll mislead and you'll ruin your own people to try to get that. You know what I mean? So let me see. I could probably fit one more. No, that should be good. But yeah, like this is real. This should be a standard for us. It should be a standard for us to stop trying to adapt with other people's customs, other people's ways of other nations' ways of living, and be amongst our own people and get into this custom and want to be like us. Point blank, period. You know what I mean? Point blank, period. That should be our go-to goal as far as this point right here, because there's nothing left that America can offer you. That whole dream of success has been exposed. So that they lift up the curtain in the background. It's not success back there. People that feel like they've got the American dream are still miserable. They're still miserable. They're doing drugs. They're committing suicide. They're whoring themselves just to feel good. They're willing to just sleep with whoever just to get that moment, just to get that moment of comfort, that moment of, oh, like this person likes me. The world likes me. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to show the people that I want you to like me. The veil has been uncovered. Like, we see that the American dream is actually a nightmare. It's actually a nightmare. There's no good feeling at that end of that tunnel. There's no great feeling like, oh yeah, I did it. My life has some type of purpose. It doesn't exist. It does not exist. The good feeling comes from us following these laws, statutes, and commandments, having a most high power, and knowing that most high power is proud of us. You doing your thing. I like that. That's the greatest feeling in the world. That's the greatest feeling in the world, to know that this power that is greater than any power that you've ever been amongst could be proud of you. Like you will watch your own kids taking their first steps. You know what I mean? Saying their first words. This is why it's so important for us to find our custom, Israel. It's so important. We have to find our custom. We need to make the Most High proud of us being able to effortlessly follow these laws, statutes, and commandments, follow this culture, be amongst ourselves, love our people to the point where nobody can sit there and put harm on us without having to pay for it, without having a consequence to it. Nobody's going to sit behind a gun and look at our babies and decide that I'm going to pull this trigger and nothing's going to happen to me. I'm not going to suffer none of these consequences. We need people to dread on even harming us. We need these other nations to dread even harming us. Breaking a nail on our finger. We need them to want to dread that. You know what I mean? But these nations are so comfortable that they would sit there and shoot our babies, man. They'll shoot our babies. And it pisses me off more because this little boy could have not been here. And you guys and we wouldn't have done anything. We wouldn't have done nothing. That would have just been another little black boy just gone. It just pisses me off. You know what I mean? Thank God. You know what I mean? Thank the Most High. Thank Yahweh shot at that boy still here. But we have to learn from these situations that we can't wait for them to kill one of our young. We can't wait for them to kill our babies, man. We need to separate and let them know we are a strength. And you're not just about to touch us without there being some consequences to it. You're not just going to put your hands on us without there being some type of consequence. Especially our children. Who does that? Man. Who does that? So we need to get into this culture, Israel. We need to love our people. We need to get out of this mindset of wanting to just always do harm to ourselves, always do harm to our people, always wanted to be a brother walking up the street and see another brother walking up the street like, hey, I need to kill him because he might kill me first. We need to get out of this program. We need to get out of that. You know what I mean? And we need to see everybody who looks like us, everybody that's part of our bloodline as a person we can love, as a person we can respect. Hey, what's going on? Shalom, brother. You know what I mean? We need to find our way into our custom, and we need to love each other. All right? And due to the time, I'm going to say shalom, Israel. You know what I mean? Get into these classes. You know what I mean? Learn. Write down these precepts. You know what I mean? Study. You know what I mean? Let's do the work of this Lord, of our Lord. And let's, you know what I mean? Let's get about this captivity, y'all. With that, shalom, Israel.